Hello, I'm Angela.
And I'm Marie, the second half of this mother and daughter team.
Welcome to Chakra Checkups.
We're here to guide you on your quest for spiritual knowledge and enlightenment.
All right, here we are again. Happy to be back.
Very happy to be back.
We never intended to leave you guys hanging for a new episode so long. We've been having some technical changes, not difficulties, just changes in figuring out the process of switching platforms and hosting platforms for the podcast, et cetera, et cetera. I won't bore you guys with the details, but we are going to keep rolling out episodes. So just be
I'm very interested. Blah, blah.
blah blah blah. Please be patient with us as we get some more information out for you, new conversations with Mother Dearest here.
Uh-oh. I'm down to that again.
Down to that or up to that?
Up to this. Wow. It gets worse. Okay. Uh-huh. Well, we've had some great news. I've talked to a few people that I've been working with that have been very ill. I talked to one this morning, and their PET scans and everything are showing everything clearing up and going away. And this is somebody that is doing some regular
Western medicine,
Western medicine,
and then a lot of soul retreats.
a lot of soul retrievals, a lot of toning, some healing, and really positive reinforcement. So the whole package is working incredibly well on a very, very deadly pathogenic sort of. And
I think one of the reasons why it might be working for him so well is just because he's taking such an active role in his mental state, attending doctor visits, doing the meditation. Like he's really doing the work in all categories to get better and to visualize himself getting better, and he is getting better.
getting better, and lots and lots of talk with his angels.
Yeah.
Lots of talk with his all the time and visualizing things, the whole thing. Everything we've talked about, he's been doing, and it has been working so well. And I'm glad to see it. We also got a report back from another lady that, 6 or 8 months into soul retrieval, and she was telling us how she's not drinking anymore, she's not smoking pot anymore. Her life is more lively and exciting. She's gotten back into her art, she's feeling better, and she's just really enthusiastic. And she's starting to see things with her third eye for them in her life. So that's
Very cool.
yeah, another report of the same kind of thing.
And she's also taking, I'm going to say, an active role,
A very active,
very active role.
very active role in her healing and looking at what she's thinking about.
Yeah. So I guess if you're sick out there listening to this, don't give up. And if you do not at first succeed, try and try again.
That's one of the things with one of the biggest questions people have is how to talk to my angel. And they'll say, I ask them for something and nothing happened. And one of the things that I realize about that, but I may not have made it super clear to everybody, is that there's like in electricity, they're talking sometimes about a potential, a certain level of which you have to get to if things are working. And I think that with angels, if they gave you everything you asked for the minute you thought of it, you'd be covered in junk because people are very indecisive and really aren't sure what they want. So they tend to, I want a car. No, I want a bike. Maybe a motorcycle. Maybe a red one. No, I think blue one. No, well, let's go back to a car. They're not really consistent. And so I think that when you're talking to your angels, you have to ask the same thing with enough really heartfelt sincerity a few times that they get that this is actually something that this person does want. So then, okay, we can make that happen.
Mm-hmm.
And not just in the material world, but in terms of your healing and uh, your relationships, your communication, your protection, everything.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't think that you would have to be so consistent in wanting to be well, but I do know so many people that are just so stuck and determined not to change anything that they will just continue to be sick.
Well, when it comes to being well, I have seen many, many times people that their lifestyle being sick involved a lot of other people bending over backward to make them comfortable. And then they get up to this point of actually thinking about being well, and they're like, well, that would mean I would be doing dishes and making breakfast and taking out the trash and driving the kids to school or whatever. And then they kind of back away a little bit. Or sometimes they've been sick for so long they don't know who they would be. So it's kind of like a scary unknown. I may be miserable, but I know who I am when I'm miserable.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who I'd be if I was totally well.
Mm-hmm.
And that holds back. Not that they want to suffer, they're just frightened of the unknown or frightened of the changes.
I think it's a very common thing to be afraid of. Like, the more people that I talk to that are not as into snorkeling or being in the ocean, that's like the number one thing. I'm like, oh, I just don't want to know what's down there. And like, you're like, oh, I just like I can't see, like I mentally cannot like see what's down there. I'll freak out. And I always think I'm like, if you actually just put a mask on and put your face in the ocean, you would see that there's nothing down there.
If you
Like
finish the
90% of the
rocks
times
and
there's gonna be some things sometimes, but most of the time you're gonna have to try pretty incredibly hard to see something like a great white shark. You're gonna have to go to the areas, you're gonna have to be feeding the sharks, et cetera, et cetera. So the whole fear of the unknown is just really like an excuse to hold yourself back from doing something that might be better and incredible.
yeah, that we met someone at the beach and he did triathlon and traveled all over the world, but the idea of going snorkeling,
Yeah.
he was really concerned and he's like, wow, Angie's brave.
Yeah. No waves. Like basically a flat lake.
Yeah, the ocean was completely flat. The reef was really in
Yeah, the visibility
shallow
was pretty
water.
good. Like,
I mean, I went out. I went and snorkeled, and I'm 71, and it was lovely. Wasn't It wasn't like snorkeling in the Cayman Islands or the Great Barrier Reef, but it was still beautiful. But I didn't feel any danger.
well, we digress. My point was that mostly people are fear of the unknown. They don't know what their life is gonna be like if they heal.
That's right,
And
and it will change. It will change.
yeah, a lot of people are afraid of change.
If you heal completely. And matter of fact, the gentleman I was talking to this morning, he said we started talking a year ago, and he said almost exactly to the day, and he said my consciousness is completely changed
Mm-hmm.
in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't need to be angry anymore, sick anymore. And that's important. Maybe it would be good for anybody out there to sit down and really imagine what would it be like if I wasn't angry, I wasn't depressed, I was able to create things, I was able to move around, I was able to go talk to people, to go out, all of those things, and I was happy and laughing in the present moment.
Mm-hmm. I was having a funny conversation with one of my friends. They recently broke up of a long relationship and they share a dog and they were sharing dog custody. And one decided not to give dog custody to the other one. And my friend was pissed and stuff about it. And I was just trying to explain to him, like, at some point, you guys are going to have to just cut ties. And how long do you want to continue just being angry over these situations instead of letting it go and starting a new life and starting fresh? And that whole idea was like so absurd. But I understand, like, it is the dog.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, well, it is the
It
dogs.
is the dog. I understand.
If it was a kid, you maybe it would be okay, but a dog.
But is how long do you want to keep doing the same fight? Like, at some point you have to like really decide that you're not going to be angry anymore.
Right, or you're gonna try it. Just try it. I mean, imagine if you woke up and there was no anger, there was no illness, and there was no pain. You have one big choice in life, and you make every day. You can either be enlightened in the present moment, which means you will be joyful, happy, healthy, creative, sexy, or you can have your anger.
Mm-hmm.
But you cannot have both
Yeah.
because they don't exist in the same place. They exist in very different places. All the anger's in the past, and all the other things are in the moment.
Yeah, I think I see that a lot differently now since I started working with you on a lot of this stuff. Is that, dog aside, saw him very much just stuck in the past anger. Like that was nothing that was going on in the present moment, the future, but like he wanted to bring everyone into this conversation because he was angry about something that happened in the past.
Well, and most people doing that because they want justification, they want to be right.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I had one person talking about, having philosophical and religious differences with another person, and I said to him, on one level, you guys see differently, but then this other person can go to their organization and have 200 people tell them that they're right.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you're gonna fight that forever? Oh, just give up the fight. Let them be wherever they want to be. Think of people that have hurt you as hurt people,
Mm-hmm.
and just say, angels, bring them whatever mercy and healing you can. I'm gonna let it go. Put it in your hands. I'm not gonna play with someone that's caught in their anger or meanness or whatever they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if there's anybody out there that has been angry for a long time, and then suddenly the person came back and said, "You're right. I was totally wrong. Here's a check for $100,000 compensation. Um, I'm never going to think that way again. You've completely changed me. I'm glad you were angry so long. It brought me to my senses." If that happened, call us. Let us know. I would like to hear about that.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting that you bring that up, right? Like, especially in a situation where maybe two people separate. Sometimes I feel like you get so worked up that you're focused on what that other person is doing. Oh, I can't believe they could like go off and find new love. Like, they're probably going to treat that other person like shit, like just like I did. And then you're just like stuck on that thing of whatever they're doing, and you're really just angry about the past thing that doesn't have anything to do with your happiness. If anything, it's preventing you from any happiness with a future partner.
Well,
And
right.
they're just off doing their own life.
Right. If you're with somebody, you might as well say, "I'll sit here and eat with you, but I'm going to be arguing in my mind with my ex the
Right.
whole time."
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
talk about infidelity. You can't make it through a meal.
Well,
It's spiritual infidelity.
yeah.
You're focusing on thinking about someone else. Even if it's in a negative way, you're still being with that other person. And if you're with someone in a negative way, then you build a bridge. You build a actual bridge to them, and they can dump their junk on you. So you're downloading their angst, they're downloading your anxiety, you're downloading their anger, they're downloading your depression. And so you kind of generate between you this energy that perpetuates your unhappiness.
Be in the present, let it all go.
It's your choice, though. It's your choice.
Yeah.
I mean, I told one lady this week, I said, "Okay, all right, so you need to be angry or whatever. Time yourself. Give yourself like 35 minutes. Okay, for the next 35 minutes, I'm going to scream, yell, rant, rave, and then the whole rest of the day, I'm going to let it go."
I think that's a really good way to start of like, okay, I'm only gonna allow me to vent to my friend, my family about work or whatever, my coworkers for 10 minutes. I'm gonna set a timer, and then when I'm done, I'm done.
And then got to move on to something else, anything else.
Yeah. Move on to like, okay, well, how was your day?
Who are you? When did you get here?
Yeah.
I just noticed you arrived. It is better. It is better. And the people that have been doing it, their life's changing. They're happy. They're doing well. And that's what we want.
And they're getting healthier.
And they're getting help.
So there's benefits to this, not just being enlightened, but actual health benefits.
Right. I've been doing a meditation group with people here in this area. And one of the things that we have been working on is the things that are in your unconscious, not that you've forgotten about, but that are unconsciously trapped in your physical body, in your muscles, like muscle memory.
Mm-hmm.
and how to transform that. I mean, for me particularly, I think that some of the trauma I have is caught in my muscles. So we started doing the same thing I'd done for my friend Donna, was to have everybody think of either a mini army or a mini group of angels, your choice, and have them specifically target that unconscious energy in your cellular body that's making you have pain or overweight or saggy skin or depression or whatever is bothering you. And when we did this in a group uh, meditation, the energy got so phenomenal. I was literally seeing crackling gold around people. It just got very, very powerful. And basically, what we did is just had everyone picture their little mini army or their little mini angels on a cellular level and see those hundreds of thousands of them and going through your body as you're doing your meditation. And in my case, I chose them to have like a little wand, and they're tapping on the cells and making the cells like light up and work better. And people had similar type of things. Everyone had a little different
I had
vision.
one of my favorite video game characters who runs around with a bow and arrow and then a spear.
Hmm.
So she was slashing away and shooting arrows.
There you go. And basically correcting whatever it is trapped in your body. And it's incredible energy that it brings about doing that. Because you're just saying, I'm surrendering to hundreds and thousands of little angel energies
Mm-hmm.
and having them run through my body on a cellular level and just clean up everything. And I'm going to be 71 in just a couple of days, and I feel better than I have in years.
Mm-hmm. You look better too.
I look better. I know. I've been looking at me. Wow. No.
Okay.
I mean, I look like a 70-year-old.
71-year-old.
But I really encourage people to try this. This is something, and what I'm doing is like when I'm driving or something, I come to a stop sign. Well, there's practically no stop signs in Mexico that anybody stops at, but something like that.
The suggested stop.
Yeah, suggested stop. Then take a few minutes and they're like, oh, okay, I'll focus for like the next 30 seconds on my little, horde of baby or mini angels. And
I was gonna say, if you stop for 30 seconds at any of these stop signs, then there are gonna be some horns.
right. Well, maybe that's not the best example, but in between other projects,
Yeah.
whenever I have a few minutes, I just keep refocusing on that and knowing that it's making me healthier and the angels have got the job. They're doing the job.
So that's just something that you're doing, just little bits of just a mental thought here and there throughout the day.
Yes. Yeah. Just refocusing on it and saying, yeah, keep going, keep going. And we'll see how that works.
It was pretty cool being in that meditation. Like, I think I think it's underestimated like I've heard you say it before, but the power of doing things in a group. And I never really understood that until I started going to these group meditations. I've never been a big fan of doing like group healing in general. And I do see a shift in like the power of the group, like the getting the attention from angels and things that happen. But it's also cool to hear like other people's experiences in these meditations. Like one woman, it sounded like had almost what I would see as like a miraculous healing. She said she had a problem with her thyroid and felt like all this darkness leave her. And I don't know, like makes me think that like maybe her tumor or something is gonna get smaller there.
Very likely. Well, the thyroid is a place that a lot of people take in dark energy
Uh-huh.
from other people.
Uh-huh.
So she was seeing it going out. I think that's very real, and yes, that will improve her thyroid.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be better. The power of a group. It's interesting when you start a group. When we started the group, it was kind of confused and sometimes even a little bit dark energy, and it was like who wanted to be there and who didn't want to be there and all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But then after a few times, about 4 or 5 times, it's like your angels say, "Oh, Monday night, we
Yeah.
we better bring all your wands. Come on, we're gonna have to be working with these people. And the minute we sit down to meditate, there's this huge energy. And I talk about the fact that we have our small physical body and our big energy body, our big soul. And that's where our real power is. And that's the more important, in a way, part of us. And I know it's hard for people to grasp that, but when we're in the meditation, sometimes about 15, 20 minutes in, there's this shift and I just see one after another of the people extend into their higher self. And I see these huge people like pillars of light behind each person as they extend into their larger energy and their spiritual self. And it's a magnificent thing to see. And people say, I felt like all of a sudden the light changed and everybody got really big. I said, yeah, they're seeing it from a different point of view than I am, but it's the same thing. It's like they let go of all the petty stuff and they just bloom into their higher self and the energy is fabulous.
Mhm.
So I really encourage if someone, start a little mini meditation group, 5 or 10 people in your living room, or trade off half the time in my house, half the time in your house, and just keep trying. Give it a few meetings before you decide if it's good or bad, because I think you're going to find after very few times that you're all together, it's going to multiply the energy, start to really make a difference in your lives and how you feel, how you get through the week.
I wasn't here for that one, but you said that there was a woman who lost her kitten, and so you guys did a brief meditation on the lost kitten, and you said several people got similar results.
Yes, we were trying to find that cat in the meditation, and we were seeing in the same thing, a yellow building, a yellow box, a yellow house, um,
A yellow house with a palapa roof.
with a palapa roof. We were seeing the cat being okay, and we were seeing it in the same kind of house, the same color house, in the same neighborhood. One person even said, "I even think I might know whose house that is."
Mm.
Um, so we're getting the same results. We're talking to our angels and asking them to help us find this kitty. So I haven't gotten back to them to see if they've got the kitty yet, but it was interesting in the meditation. So many people
With the same
with
results.
the same result.
Yeah, it just makes me think that there's different ways that these group meditations could go for different purposes, and each could have its own unique function for, tailored to what your group needs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we do different themes. We've done a couple where we just toned for 45 minutes, and that was fabulous. And some people said that was the best thing ever. Some people can't even imagine toning for 45 minutes, but
Hmm.
we all did it, and it was really, really good. It was really good energy. So I actually think a group meditation once a week is practically a necessity, keeping your peace of mind.
Hmm.
I know a lot of people like to meditate on their own and do their own thing, but in a way, there's two views that make that less than ideal. One is if they're a very advanced person, they have all that energy to share, to uplift and communicate with, and they can really bring a lot to the. And it's something very satisfying about seeing someone who never seen anything or experienced anything suddenly bloom into this really healthy spirit. And it's good for you. It magnifies all around. Everybody's going to walk out of there with, oh, there's no one that's too advanced and there's no one too new to not benefit from it. One of the things that I actually saw in the meditation, and then I was working with someone the next day, and I thought, oh, this is a different way to look at this. I'm always trying to get people into their body, and I realized that sometimes,
So hold on, why are you trying to get people in their bodies?
because if you're in your body half the time, your physical immune system and your psychic immune system work better.
Hmm.
If you're in your body half the time, you have less body pain.
So you were saying people are in their body less than half the time.
Yes, because when you're sleeping, you're almost always out of your body.
Gotcha.
If you're in the dream state or you're sleeping, you go out of body. You're in your soul body, and that's out there communing with the angels producing your dreams, doing all kinds of things, which means that when you're awake, you
You
need to
really need
be
to focus on being in your
in your
body.
body. It's very important. And if you're not in your body, you don't even know really when you're hungry and when you're not. And so sometimes people just they're just eating not because they're hungry, but because they want to feel their body.
Hmm.
They want to know that they exist.
Mm-hmm.
If you're out of your body, you don't feel like you really exist. And then you munch, and it kind of brings you back for a minute or two. So you keep munching, huge. The exception is always athletes. You cannot be a great athlete unless you're in your body. So they're not as hungry and
Mm.
and they're present all the time. But otherwise, people tend to be out. So I realized that when someone is very oriented into their past, they're spending a lot of time in anger, depression. It's almost like their soul's behind them.
Hmm.
It kind of like you're in a different space and your soul oriented to the past, and so it's like it's standing behind you. So instead of trying to get it to come down into your
Right, I was gonna say that. So typically when people are out of the body, it goes just above them.
yes, it
And so you
goes
think about breathing your
so
soul
down.
back down.
But some people have difficulty with that.
Right, and it wasn't working.
It wasn't working as well as I would have liked it to. So then I thought, okay, try this. Everybody try this. Just think of having your soul right behind you, and it's your soul, you're in charge. So, and say, take a big breath, and as you exhale, say, I want my soul to just take one big step forward and step right into my physical.
Hmm.
And a lot of people instantly felt the tingling in their feet and their hands, or my hand feels, okay, I'm feeling it. And
So it was working.
it was working. And of course, two things most people feel when that's so, they feel shorter and they feel denser.
Hmm.
You do actually have a little bit of feeling in your soul body. And when it's way out or away, you feel like there's more of you.
Hmm.
When you're all in alignment, then you feel a little denser and a lot sometimes shorter. And you might suddenly have sensation in places like your hands, didn't even know you had hands.
Hmm.
I was happy that that's working. I want people to be in their body. When you get really practice at it, then it's just a matter of going, I'm out of my body. Breathe me back in.
Mm.
And you'll be right in because you're used to going in and out and comfortable with that. And when you say that you want to be in your body, your soul will comply.
And then you are.
And then you are.
Mhm.
Boom. So you won't have to forever be doing exercises many times a day. You just go, am I out of body? I better breathe in. I'm in.
Hmm.
And I see that sometimes with people that have been meditating for a long time. Many times they're very pretty good at moving their energy and they can get right back into their body pretty quick. And that's important. When you're in your body, you're more likely to be in the present moment.
Sounds good to me.
Well, like I've said before, when you're in your body and you're not in the past, it's better when you're making love to be in the room
With the person
with
you're
the
having
person.
sex with.
Right,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
Instead of being someplace else and not in your body.
I mean, one of the things that drives me crazy is when I'm with my friends or I go out to dinner with someone or something, I really try to focus on putting my phone down and not being on it because I've already made the choice to be there. We've set up the time and now I want to like actually talk to that person. And anybody on the phone can wait, like, until they go to the bathroom at least, But there was a group of girls down here that were all on vacation and they were all like probably 21, 22-ish or something. A group of like 8 of them. They were all having lunch and every single one of them had their phone like glued to their hands. Not they might have been having casual conversations, but each one was doing a different thing on the phone. And then when they walked out, it was like they had their water bottle in one hand and then the phone glued in the other one. It just like never left their hands. Like I don't think any of them for the entire vacation is probably ever gonna be present for anybody else in that group.
I don't know. I tend to think that it's rude. I mean, you make the effort to show up and be at this event with the person, and they're like, "Wait a minute, this is important."
Yeah.
And well, what are you? You're
Yeah.
there to communicate with them. And what is more important than being in the present moment with another human being that loves you enough to show up and be with you?
Right. Yeah, I think for me it's just, it is frustrating being on the other end of that. If someone, yes, okay, like, yeah, I understand. Send the text and put it down. Like handle what you need to handle and then be here. But if it just is a continuous thing for the whole time, I'm like, why even, why did you even come out if you're so focused on doing all of these other things? Like, you just take away from the other person that has spent time with you. You're not in the present. Nobody's having fun. And, I just feel like there's better ways to connect with people.
Neurosurgeons don't spend as much time on their phone as some of the people do nowadays. It's like, am I like worse than a neurosurgeon checking your phone every minute?
I don't know why a neurosurgeon would like that would be the reference.
It's because I've spent time around them because I've had people that close to me that had brain tumors and things like that, and I watch them, and they do have to monitor their phone when somebody's suddenly dying, but they're at least with you, the rest of the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't. A lot of times I don't even bring my phone.
Yeah, it's just interesting to me when we talk about being in the present moment when there's so many other distractions around us that actually limits our human connection with other people.
Well, if you thought of that translated into the physical, because you're really leaving and going, what if you what if you went to lunch and then you said, "Oh, wait a second. I'm going to go talk to the person over there at that table. I'll be back."
Mm-hmm.
And you come back, "Oh, now I'm going to go talk. Oh, I think I'll talk to the waiter for a while."
Yeah.
You know, "Oh, now I'm going to go to the bar and talk to
Yeah.
somebody." It's basically that's what you're doing. You're going away and whatever, chatting with somebody else and choosing not to be with the person that you're looking at.
Yeah. Which is maybe different if you're in a bar scene. That's kind of what people do to socialize, but
Is that? I never go to
you never go to a bar? Yeah. Shocker. Shocking.
shock.
Shocking.
Well, maybe when you're 71, we'll see how often you go to a bar.
Maybe we'll take you to the bar for your birthday.
No, I don't
No.
think so.
Well, I guess she's not changing anytime soon, folks.
Yeah, well, although your great great grandmother,
Yeah.
my grandmother's mother, was getting thrown out of bars when she was 99 for misbehavior.
Yeah. Just when you're that old, fuck it. I hope to have that much fun when I'm 90. Why not?
In bars in Minnesota. She lived in Minnesota.
Well, see, I would never be in Minnesota when I'm 90, but
I guess if you're 90 and you're Minnesota, probably the best place to be is a bar.
why
I don't
not?
know.
The most interesting thing happening.
Anyway, I don't know. So I don't know. Try being present. Try really pretend you just met the person that you're sitting across from. Ask them something about themselves. Do you know what their favorite color is? Or their all-time favorite movie? Or whatever.
Go to those interview questions of what's your favorite quality about yourself?
Something other than not being present.
Yeah, I bet there's so much that, like, even your best friend, there's probably things still to discover about those people that you don't know yet. And I think it's so fascinating to get to know new people and how their brains work and why they think things the way they do, and just to sit back and, understand and get the perspective of somebody else's thoughts.
So many people are trying to find their ideal partner. And I don't understand how you would find your ideal partner if you don't have the capacity to be with somebody and really focus and make the effort to be with someone long enough to find out if you even like them.
Mm-hmm.
Because it doesn't really translate well on a text.
Mm-hmm.
Want to hang out? Smiley face. That's not the same as getting to know somebody. Really sitting down and communicating with somebody and being there for them and being interested in them is how you find out if that's a person to spend your life with or spend the next 2 years with.
Yeah. I I end up watching this show, Love is Blind, which is it's kind of an interesting concept where people are dating through a wall and they don't see each other. So they have to rely on communication and like deep conversation to know if they get to know someone. But then the show's a little weird where then to meet them in person, you get engaged and then in a month you get married. But I'm wondering from your perspective, like if you're talking to someone through a wall and you're trying to get to know them, are you still kind of psychically engaged with that person? Like I know there's different things like chemistry that come into play, the way people smell, like the science behind some of that. That is always an aspect that changes once they're behind that wall or once they're outside of that wall.
I think to a certain degree, people have a lot of fear, and when you're talking behind a wall, you'll be different than when you're talking in person.
That's true.
And you do take on, you can, not everybody, but some people take on a different persona.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm going to be
I can be whoever I want to be right now.
the sexy person.
Hmm.
I met this girl one time who actually came to one of a seminar that I was in, a spiritual seminar, and we're all asking, what do you do? What do you do? And she's like, I'm somebody that people dial up to talk to on the phone. I'm one of those girls that's sex on the phone.
Yeah,
And
the dirty talk.
I guess.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because she was kind of overweight and she was very shy and very, introverted. But then I said, so how does that work? And then suddenly she started with this sort of Texas drawl, high pitched talk. And she says, this is what they like. Completely different.
Yeah.
This whole persona that she was able to put together
Yeah.
on the phone when nobody was actually knowing her.
Hmm.
And she said she had lots of regular customers that talked to her all the time.
Hmm.
And I think they probably all think she's tiny little blonde.
I think that's part of the idea of talking to them on when it's just the voice. You kind of get to imagine whatever you want them to look, right? So I guess in terms of a number to call up to, jack off to or whatever, maybe you don't want to see what they look like.
You may not, but when you're behind a wall or you're just texting is a great way of hiding your personality because
It's very similar. I see a lot of parallels between the conversations that happen between the two people that are dating that aren't seeing each other and conversations I've had getting to know people through dating apps. And then I see both like on the show how much it changes once it's in person. And then my own experiences from doing it from texting into real life. It's like, oh, well, you said all these things, but it's not matching up. That's not
Mhm.
actually who you are. That's what you would like to be, but maybe it's not who you are.
Right, exactly. When you're face to face, you do, first of all, have pheromones, and everyone, I think people would like to think they have no prejudices in terms of I like somebody taller or shorter or
Whatever.
whatever. So many things, so many aspects of things that we have built into our system, many of which we're probably not even conscious.
Yeah.
So all that comes into play, which is important because you're not going to make the person shorter or taller in your mind. You're going to probably be stuck with those prejudices you have in that way. So you work through all of those and also pheromones and natural attraction and all of that. And then you actually find out, are we compatible? I mean, do you want to live in New York or do you want to live in you know,
Hmm.
Mexico? And those things, if you find out enough about the person before you get in a relationship, you'll discover how really compatible you are.
I guess I'm wondering from like a psychic connection perspective of like, is that something you're going to be able to sense if you are texting someone or if you are, on a blind date or something where you're not seeing them?
One of the problems that psychic people have, and I think it happens actually in the entire population, sometimes you just come across someone that you were close to in a past life,
Uh-huh.
and you just suddenly feel like that person is your soulmate
Mm.
because you were happily married or you were wildly in love or you were the best friends ever in some other lifetime. And you sort of spontaneously start operating from that premise, like we're wildly in love or we're the best of friends. In some of your only barely uh, consciousness, you are operating because of a memory. and it's a strong memory that grips you, but it isn't actually have very much to do with who that person is right now.
So are you bursting our bubbles and saying that true loves don't exist?
No, true love can exist. You can fall in love with somebody and be in love with somebody. Um, but if you just suddenly feel like I've known them forever, they're my soulmate, well, look out, because when that dissolves after about a year and a half, you'll pop out of that memory phase and you're gonna be actually physically with the person you're with.
Mhm.
And then people say that person's really changed. Well, they probably haven't changed. You just didn't see them. You
For who
didn't
they were.
you didn't really realize who they were because you were operating on this memory that, in that life, they were very kind and did nice things for everybody. And in this life, maybe they're not.
Hmm.
Maybe they're impatient or they're angry. And so that when you pop out of that consciousness, you're like, what the hell happened? And who is this person? You roll over and go, what? Fell in love with a 10 and who is this? Um, and in a way, that's something that people should be taught about because it can really mess you up. It's like everyone's playing as part of a play, but they don't know the whole story.
Hmm.
And
They only know the opening line.
yeah, or a little bit or part of the feeling. And that feeling that they're feeling isn't actually even in the present moment.
Hmm.
It's a memory.
So I'm curious your take on this too, because I've heard, I don't remember where I heard it from, but somebody was saying that like actually when you're getting to know someone and you feel those butterflies in the stomach, that's a red flag and run away. 'Cause that's not a sign of a healthy relationship.
Well, we're in Mexico. It could just be bad water. Well, I don't know. I mean, you can have butterflies and like somebody, but I think, and it can work out.
Yeah.
But it's those ideas of like instant 100% magical love
Yeah.
probably is a past life thing.
Hmm.
No, it's probably not instant love. It's instant memory.
Hmm.
It's like I actually had a partner for about 5 years, and he said he felt comfortable to approach me because I blew him a kiss. And I've actually never blown anybody a kiss in my entire
Yeah, I
life.
could never
That is
actually see you
not
doing
me.
that.
That's not me at all. And we had talks about this, and he said, "No, you did. You turned, you looked at me, you waved, and you blew me a kiss. That was a memory
Yeah.
from another life we were together." And I did actually have a dream about when we were together. And I probably did in that life, did that.
Hmm.
But in this life, I bet any amount of money that did not happen
Hmm.
because I'm just not inclined to do that sort of thing. So he was basing a lot of our relationship on that, on things like that, these memories, these happy memories. And then when he snapped out of it, it's like, a much more serious person, a different person than he thought he was with. And I think that happens to a lot of people.
Hmm.
So, I mean, the solution would be
Let me guess. Be in the now.
no, the solution would be take time, the courting. Do
Yeah.
the courting. Don't just say, okay, yeah, we're in love. Okay, we met today, we'll have sex tomorrow, we'll move in on Thursday. Spend some time actually getting to know each other and ask yourself, who is this? Who is this really sitting across from me? I need to find out. And you need to find out the old-fashioned way by asking them questions,
Mm-hmm.
not going psychically into them and trying to figure them out, not getting into their feeling body, hopefully not having sex too soon. Because and it's not that I'm prudish about sex, it's that just puts you in such a cloud of, you know, neurotransmitters, happy neurotransmitters and pheromones that you can't see straight.
Mm-hmm.
No. Everybody's going, that sounds good. Yeah, I know. But in terms of a relationship, that might not be ideal. So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, be present, be in a conversation, get to know them, go meet their family, do all those things.
Let go of your anger.
Let go of your anger.
Starting to become a long list here.
Yes, well, I'm sorry, but if you're going to spend 27, 40 years with them, or even 2 years, uh, better to spend that time up front and be clear about what you're getting into. And don't let all the happy memory overshadow the huge box of red flags.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was a carnival.
What was that meme that you sent me that was a guy holding a box of red flags and he said, "Yeah, it's a box of red flags, but I'm going to date it for 6 months anyway."
Oh, I've seen so many that are just hilarious. Like one of them is a bunch of red, I think it's like red flags on, yeah, red flags on the beach or something. And it's like, I don't know what country this is from, but I know that I've dated people from it.
Exactly. Trust your intuition, but be careful about this my soulmate.
I'm always interested in what's the question that you ask to get to know someone. That was one of the things when I was looking to create deeper connections. I was asking people, what's your go-to questions to get to know people? And was on a quest of asking better questions. And I was surprised by a lot of people's answers.
I know what it is.
What?
How many shoes?
How many shoes you have?
And you know how much closet space you still have left.
There's all different types of answers to this one question, and you might find, new things to ask people that you love or you want to get to know more of. So be in the present, have a conversation, do some group meditation, and we'll have another episode for you shortly, hopefully.
Hopefully, yes. If we're not too busy counting our shoes.
On that note, have a great day.